In this episode, I'm going to show you how to hold a vision so big
It bends reality.
not by hustling or grinding harder, but by becoming the container strong enough to actually hold it. Hey, it's David. Welcome to A Changed Mind, a sanctuary for your spirit, a place where each and every episode I remind you of the certainty of the goodness of the future. I'm your friend, your host, your guide, David Bayer. I'm so excited about this episode. Today, we're going to be talking about how to achieve any goal, how to hold a vision so big that you can actually accomplish anything that you want. Becoming rich, becoming healthy, even changing the world. So we're going to be talking about how to have a big vision without it stressing you out, and how to set big goals without it stressing you out so that you can actually have it all. Now, the way that you create something isn't actually trying to figure out how to create it. And I know this is one of the great paradoxes. Most people get stuck in the how. How do I make more money? How do I get healthy? How do I find my soulmate? How do I become more spiritual and have more clarity? You don't have to have a perfect plan. You absolutely do not have to hustle or grind or even need to know how to achieve it. The way you create anything is actually by holding the vision. Now, this is a very misunderstood concept. You may have heard of this idea that who you are being is more important than what you are doing. But what does that actually mean? These isms used to frustrate the crap out of me when I first got into personal and spiritual growth. I'd be hanging out with some of my hippie friends or at my favorite vegan restaurant, and I heard like, man, it's just who you're being. You just need to hold the container. It's like, no, you need to do shit too. You got to do things, right? This isn't about just sitting at home and oming your way to a 7, 8, or 9-figure business or a career change. Nobody's going to deliver your soulmate like an Amazon delivery package, Amazon Prime to your front door. Right? Maybe you've heard that it's important to hold the container, but what container are we talking about? It sort of sounds like nonsense, except it's not nonsense. In fact, if you really look at what's going on out there, the hustle culture, the perfectionism, the trying to control your external circumstances, that's all the nonsense. I remember that there's this thing called the 5 a.m. club that someone in personal growth was peddling. It's like, if you want to be successful, you have to get up at 5 a.m. That actually has nothing to do with it. We're sort of in this Navy SEAL culture. It's very attractive. It's very alluring of like hustle and grinding. And I get it. There are certain people, that's where they came from. So that's the lens through which they see life. Or there was a sign in my high school gymnasium that said, someone out there is working harder than you are. And when you meet them, they will beat you. It's like, I'm not interested in that. I don't want to do, as much as I appreciate the Marvel character of Captain America, like I can do this all day long. I don't want to do this all day long. You know what I want to do all day long? It's not hustle and grind. It's enjoy my life. It's be present to my loved ones. It's know that life is always working for my greatest growth, my greatest prosperity, and my greatest evolution. And that which I create is not necessarily up to me. Do I need to take action? Yes, I'm a part of the game, but I'm not the game itself. The game is always working to support me. And I think that's why one of the greatest teachers in the world, like if he had a podcast, I'd listen to this podcast. Jesus said, my yoke is easy. So how do we find the easy yoke? In this episode, I'm going to break down what it means to hold the container. And I'm going to start with a personal story. So I had a recent conversation with a friend of mine, a really, really successful entrepreneur, super spiritually connected guy. I was very grateful that he reached out to me at one point in time and said, hey, I'd like to have a monthly connection call. When we get on a call, we just like drop right in. And so he opened up kind of sharing what was going on in his world. And he said, hey, what's going on in your world? And we're in the process right now of building a whole portfolio of companies that I truly believe are going to change the world. And so I started breaking it down and explained to him what my vision is for Whole Inc. And how I believe that we're going to transform the medical system. We're going to transform the financial system. We're going to create this new regenerative economy and a global coalition of awakened people. And I started getting into all the details of it. And he said, hey, man, like that's an amazing vision. That's a huge vision that can literally change civilization. Let me ask you a question. He said, how does it feel? And it was such a great question. And he was tuning into something that I was going through at that time. And I shared with him that up until recently, it felt really exciting, but it also felt really heavy because it felt like I was behind schedule. It felt like things weren't happening as fast as they should. I was also doubting whether or not it was possible or how long it would take or what was wrong with me that it's not happening faster. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but you have a vision. Maybe it's a big vision for changing the world. Maybe it's just a vision for changing your circumstances right now. You're wanting to just get to the next level. And then daily troubles show up. And sometimes it feels like, man, if I can't even get through a day without a bill showing up that I didn't expect, or a fire that needs to be put out in my business, or the washing machine going out and having to deal with getting a repair person, how am I going to get to the next level, let alone change the world? But a couple of weeks before I had this conversation with my friend, I tuned into this awareness that I don't actually need to achieve my goal. Now, stay with me on this for a second. It's not my job to achieve my goal. It's not my job to generate the $1 million. It's not my job to launch the new business. It's not even my job to figure out how to heal myself or meet my soulmate or become more spiritual. That's not my job. My job is to hold the container of the vision. All right, what does this mean? So I want you to take something you want to achieve really bad. You can think about it right now. What is it you really, really want right now that would be like next level for you? It could be healing your body, it could be growing your business, could be repairing a relationship with your primary partner because there's a lot of friction. It could be a new job. It could be starting your own business. It could be growing or scaling your business. It might be changing the way things are done. You know, you're really passionate about changing governance or legislation or gun control or child trafficking, whatever it is. I just want you to think about it right now. For me, it's this vision I have for a regenerative economy where everybody benefits and wins, and a portfolio of companies that reinvent the way we do finance, the way we do healthcare, the way we conduct business, and to build this global movement of hundreds of millions of people who are awakened and working on creating a new humanity. By the way, as I share that with you, because it's my vision as a means by which to inspire you to think big, realize, 10 years ago, my vision was I wanted to have $100,000 in my bank account and no debt because I didn't have any of my money in my bank account. I had a bunch of debt. Even a year ago, my vision was I wanted to be healthy again and vibrant again and to sleep well again and not have chronic aches and pains because that was my experience. So just realize I got troubles just like you, right? But what is your big vision right now? It doesn't have to be changing the world, but it can be. All right. Now, whatever the next level is, the key here is to hold the vision of that possibility or even the vision of that reality without what I describe as collapsing into it. And so just notice, the moment you start to doubt, the moment you start to worry, the moment you start to feel overwhelmed, that's a sign that you're collapsing. We're not holding the vision. We're not being the nervous system of the person required to materialize the vision. So these are signs of collapse. And a lot of the journey of our life is about desire for something new and then learning how to hold the vision. But along the way, we collapse. In the same way that as you're trying to get stronger at the gym, you're going to get to a point when you're doing bench press or squats or bicep curls that you can't do anymore. You fatigue the muscle. Well, throughout the journey of our life, as we continue to have greater and greater and greater desires, the nervous system fatigues and it collapses into the old way. We can't hold the vision. But over time, if we understand that this is the game, that this is really resistance training, and the work for you to do is not to figure out how, the work for you to do is not to control your circumstances around you, and the work for you to do is not to hustle or grind, but it's to hold the container or the frequency or the vibration of the vision. Now you can focus your energy and attention on nervous system resilience. Okay? But when we experience worry, doubt, overwhelm, it's a sign that we're collapsing. We're collapsing into the old version of ourselves. We're collapsing into the container rather than being the container itself. And then what we find ourselves do is scrambling around inside the container or the structure of the vision, trying to get things done desperately and being unproductive in our attempt to do that. And by the way, when we talk about holding a vision, you could be collapsing into the container as a result of your doubts about the vision, but it could just be doubt in general. It could just be stress in general. One of the things that I've taught in many, many episodes is a distinction we have called the two states of being. And that is that there are only two states of being, powerful states and primal states. I just talked about it in the last episode. Powerful states are states of being that feel good, states like joy, curiosity, excitement, calm, peace, compassion. And when you're in that state of being, you're in the parasympathetic expression of your nervous system. That's rest, relaxation. And I would say that's where your personal power is. That's where intuition is. That's where resource is. That's where health is. That's where money is. That's where vision is. That's where spirit is. It's in a powerful state. And there are primal states of being. Primal states are states of being that don't feel good. States like stress, anxiety, overwhelm, doubt, boredom, anger, depression. This is where indecision is, procrastination is, self-sabotage is. This is where hustle and grind culture lives. This is where control and perfectionism live. This is where worry and doubt live. And this is when you're in the sympathetic expression of the nervous system. You're in fight, flight, or freeze. And so this is where you're not holding the container for the vision. So it doesn't matter if you're doubting about the vision or something else shows up in your life that has nothing to do with the vision that you have. What I would suggest is that when you are in a primal state, you're collapsing into the old nervous system. When you're in a powerful state, you're holding the vision of your future self. Right? That's what's so interesting about this. And you're always in one state of being or the other, and you're never in two states of being at once. So if you were to say, hey, Dave, how do I achieve my big vision no matter what it is? One way of describing it is operate as consistently as possible from a powerful state. You're not going to do it perfectly, but notice when you've moved into a primal state, know that you've collapsed into the container versus being the container that the creation will take place within. Hey, it's David. Just a quick interruption to your regularly scheduled episode by your favorite sponsor, moi. I want to tell you about my book. It is available on Amazon right here, right now. A Changed Mind. Go beyond self-awareness, rewire your brain, and re-engineer your reality. In this little book are all the frameworks, the tools, the methodologies that I talk about on this show and that I've used to actually change my mind and that tens of thousands of other people have used to transform their bank accounts, their businesses, their relationships, their health, their spiritual connection, everything that you want to achieve. This is the way to achieve it. And Amazon has done us a good one right now. It's significantly discounted. So you can go and pick up your copy, or better yet, pick up a copy for a friend too. There's nothing better than giving the gift of transformation right now. Hop on over to Amazon. There's a link in the show notes. And if you love the book as much as I loved writing it for you, do me a favor. Let me know that and leave a review. And now back to your regularly scheduled episode. And this is a really important distinction because as you're able to hold the container by not collapsing, by not moving into a primal state, either about the vision or just in general in your life, as you become unperturbed or undisturbed or unshakable as life is evolving around you, as you're holding the container, you're now holding a space where creation can now function. Right? You're now holding a space where creation can now function. Now you are a part of creation because you are an individuation of the one source of creation or the one energy, God, Jesus, Allah, the universe, the unified field, whatever you want to call it. But now the field can function inside this container that you're holding, and now all kinds of resources that are not dependent upon you begin to show up. So you will also function within the container. There will be things you need to do. That's why I tell my New Age friends, you can't just sit at home and kumbaya and expect to change your life. You got to get out into life and take action, inspired action, and do the things that today requires you to do. You're a part of the creation that takes place inside the container that you're holding, but other things will now show up as well. And this is what's so interesting because the vision is also a representation of your future or your future self. And notice how good it feels to think about your vision. You're literally stepping into your future vision. And that's who you're being in that moment. And it feels exciting. It feels expansive. That's why you're in a powerful state. But then life shows up, thoughts show up, doubts show up, either related to the vision or just stress in general, things in your life that you don't expect to happen, and it creates stress for you, and you get pulled back into that fight or flight mode. You get pulled back into your current version of you, and you collapse. Okay? But this is where we change the game. The game is not to figure out how to achieve your goal. The game is to hold the vision and let the creation take place inside of it. My job is not to build my vision, it's to hold it. And so as I mentioned to you a couple weeks before this call with my friend, I became aware of this distinction. So I started changing the what I would call the plays that I was running in my life. I started changing the game for myself. I stopped worrying so much about what I needed to do. And I realized that just being in a powerful state while holding the voltage of the vision was my job. And so I get on a call with my friend, Gordy, and he checks in first. And I had already been thinking about like, man, there are these companies that I want to launch. I'm probably going to go out and raise some money for them. I've done that before, but geez, it takes a lot of time. You know, I've done it before. And I realized I was collapsing into the container. And so I stepped back. I'm like, well, maybe it can be easier. Maybe there's a better way for me to raise money for these companies that I want to launch, you know, to accelerate the growth of my vision. And so, you know, I looked at other times in my life when I thought I had to figure things out, and I didn't. Like, life had figured it out for me. Life brought my wife to me. I didn't figure it out. Life brought me business opportunities that I didn't have to figure out. And I was like, let me hold this faith. Let me allow God into the equation, right, into the container versus my ego. And I get on the call with Gordy, and he updates me first. I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? And he says, well, it was so cool. I just spoke on a stage with Jack Canfield and Joe Dispenza. They're my idols, so that was so amazing. And he says, Dave, I got to tell you, like, the craziest thing is happening. All these people, he's raised a lot of money before for a lot of different companies and projects that he started or been a part of. He goes, there's more money flowing to me than I can handle right now. And he's like, I got to find a way to start distributing it and directing it and flowing it into conscious companies that are focused on building the new systems in the world. And he's like, what are you up to? And I'm like, well, let me tell you what I'm up to. And I start explaining to him about this whole human operating system that I'm building. And he says, well, I guess we just found a place to flow some of this capital. So did I have to go out and find all the money? No. My job was to hold the container. Did it need to be hard? Did I need to hustle grind? Did I need to have the perfect plan? No. Creation shows up within the container if I'm willing to hold it. And so I want to give you 5 practices to hold the container, to basically maintain that higher vibration future self, and to have faith and let your higher power function inside the container of your life, and so that you can create the vision that you're holding. So here's 5 really simple practices. If I were going to prioritize 5 things, this is what I would do. This is what I am doing, because this is the most important thing for my life, because it informs what my life looks like. Number 1, limiting beliefs work. So it's very important for you to start to identify the resistance that you're holding inside of you, because that's what will collapse you into the container rather than being able to hold the vision or holding the container. It's limiting beliefs work. Limiting beliefs are the older version of yourself that are ready to be transformed or retired. And so that might be limiting beliefs you have around money, like money is scarce. Limiting beliefs you have around yourself, like you're not worthy or you're not good enough or you don't matter. Limiting beliefs around other people, that you can't trust people, you need to do things on your own. Do an inventory of your limiting beliefs. How do you do an inventory of your limiting beliefs? Well, going back to that really beautiful tool that we teach, the 2 states of being, powerful states and primal states, you're always in one state of being or the other, and you're never in 2 states at the same time. As you're out in your life, notice when you move into a primal state and take a look at your thinking. Because the only thing that can move you into a primal state are limiting beliefs. They are thoughts that are not true. That's why you move into a primal state, because the dissonant energy of that thought, as it kind of ricochets and gets transmitted through your nervous system, creates these uncomfortable emotions. It's sort of an internal lie detector test that's supposed to signal to you, hey, the thing you're thinking isn't true. So just start to notice and pay attention to your thoughts when you move into a primal state, when you're stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, bored, angry. What is it that I'm thinking? Because the experience is not causing you to feel that way. It's your thoughts about the experience, and those thoughts are limiting beliefs. And we got all kinds of episodes on this channel teaching you tools on how to transform those limiting beliefs. You can jump over to davidbear.com, sign up for our newsletter. You'll get a 4-part video series, as well as a little ebook that I put together to really help you identify and teach you some of the initial tools for transforming those limiting beliefs. But number 1 is limiting beliefs work. That's what you have to do in order to be able to hold bigger and bigger containers for yourself, for your vision, and for your life. Number 2, support the nervous system in down-regulating. So a powerful state is a down-regulated nervous system. It's rest, relaxation, digestion. An up-regulated nervous system is when you're in a primal state. That's the sympathetic nervous system. And so if everything that we want is achieved in a powerful state, if being able to hold larger and larger containers and visions and being your future self is when you're in a powerful state, then we need to support the nervous system in down-regulation. So I would watch out for two things in particular. Caffeine. I just did an episode 2 episodes ago on my experience of quitting caffeine. It's been a game changer for me, even though coffee is my absolute love language. But it's been a game changer. I found peace. I'm living more consistently in a powerful state without effort as a result of completely giving up caffeine. And number 2, screens. Caffeine and screens. Give up screens as much as you can. So after 6 o'clock in the evening, no screens. You know, if you got to wrap up work by 6:37, I understand, then no screens. No phone, no computer, no screens. I would even say no TV screens. Screens are going to upregulate your nervous system. Screens are going to decrease the quality of your sleep. Screens are going to compel you, especially if you're on social media, to poke and swipe and continue to allow your cortisol levels to rise and to have dopamine hits before you're trying to go to bed. So get rid of caffeine and screens. That's really, really important if you want to support your nervous system for down-regulating. There's a lot of other things you can do: cold plunges, really good workouts, hot sauna. But I would say in terms of number 2, down-regulating your nervous system and supporting it, watch out for screens and caffeine. Number 3 is compulsive behavior. Take a look at compulsive behavior in your life. For me, back in the day, it was drinking, it was drugging, it was sexing. More recently, it was realizing I have compulsive behavior around caffeine. When things are going great, I want to reward myself with a cup of coffee. When things are stressful, let me have a cup of coffee. That's the same way I was with drugs and alcohol. Things are going great, let me celebrate and smoke some pot or have a drink or go have sex or look at pornography. Things are stressful, same behavior. That's an indication that it's compulsive behavior. Another indication is you have thought about quitting, but you haven't. Probably compulsive behavior. And compulsive behavior upregulates the nervous system. It just perpetuates compulsivity rather than peace. So number 3 is be aware of and begin to regulate or eliminate compulsive behavior. Social media is a big one right now, right? Going back to screens, it's like a double devil, right? You're getting the screen input, but you're also getting the compulsive behavior perpetuation with social media. You want to down-regulate your nervous system. The other thing I would think about doing is disconnect from any of these things for a period of time, right? Take a 4-day digital detox, take a 1-month drinking break, something, okay? So compulsive behavior. Number 4, disconnection in nature. I just started talking about disconnection, but, take off a 3-day weekend with no access to digital tools. Be out in nature. Nature has a frequency and a vibration. One of the things I did on ChatGPT recently is I was in the Dominican Republic. There was a beautiful canopy of tree above me, and I took a picture of the canopy of the tree, and I said, hey, ChatGPT, there's mathematical expressions in nature that we've discovered, like the Fibonacci sequence and golden mean, but I'm assuming there's a lot of other sequences or patterns that we haven't yet identified. Can you see any in this tree? And it said, yes, I can. And I had this really extraordinary conversation with ChatGPT as it was explaining to me undiscovered math that was showing that trees have a very specific vibration that is down-regulatory. That's why when you're in nature, you feel calm. So number 4 is give yourself periods of disconnection and being in nature. I'm really transitioning into only working 4 days a week, and on Friday, I'm not going to be working anymore. I'm going to use that as disconnection time from Friday through Sunday to stay off of computers and be in nature, right? That's one of the decisions why Carol and I, she's my wife, if you don't know that yet, decided to move into the mountains of Puerto Rico so that we could live in and raise our child in nature. If you're interested in being able to hold a big vision or heal, nature is a huge part of that. Number 5, community and immersion. So this is not a do-it-yourself project, and you also want to commit times into anything that you want to master. So be around others who are doing the work, right? Hang out with other people that are having conversations like this. Meet other people in our community. Join our community. Like I said, come on over to the website. Subscribe to the newsletter. That's a great way to get started. Come to the Powerful Living Experience, our 3-day event in March. Join our online community. Go through one of our digital courses so you can meet other people, read the books, listen to the podcast, go to the events, immerse yourself and be around other people who are doing the work. That's the way you get good at anything. There's no way I could have gotten sober in my recovery if I wasn't hanging out with people in recovery. There's no way I couldn't have become a great entrepreneur if I wasn't hanging out with other entrepreneurs. So it just makes sense. Spend time with other people in the work and spend time in the work. And so this is the great news. You don't have to hustle. You don't have to grind. You don't even need to know how you're going to create something because the how begins to unfold within this container. You just hold the vision without collapsing. You be the person whose nervous system can hold the voltage of the vision without spinning out into the chaos of your mind. And then watch as you do this, how you become a place where miracles literally manifest on a daily basis. So, hey, if you love this episode, do me a favor. If you're following along on YouTube, leave me a comment, ask a question, let me know what you think. This is just what I think, but this is a two-way conversation. I tried to read to and respond to as many as I can. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget the bell icon, because that's actually the way that you get notifications of when a new episode comes out. And if you love this episode, share it with somebody who needs to hear it. If you're following along on the audio platforms, do me a favor, subscribe as well so you get notifications when new episodes come out. Share the episode with somebody who needs to hear about it, or somebody that you're jamming with or want to bring in as a container holding accountability partner. And if you haven't, leave me a rating or review. I love when my team forwards me those. I get to see how much you love the show, how much it's impacting you, and get to know a little bit more about you. I love you so much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share what I've learned in my journey with you, and I will see you in the next episode. Hey, it's David. Hop on over to davidbear.com. Click right here. There's also a link in the show notes, and sign up for our newsletter. You'll get immediate access to my free Mind Hack ebook, as well as a couple of trainings to help you master the inner game. This is a great way to stay informed and be a part of our community and be notified of special announcements. Click below, head on over to the website, get subscribed. If you loved this video, make sure you check out this one or this one, and I will see you in the next video.